All right, let's jump right into a question that's kind of hiding in plain sight. How on earth did one language, spoken by just a handful of people on a tiny island 1,500 years ago, end up, well, everywhere? We're going to unpack the incredible story of how English became the world's most powerful language. But before we get into the heavy history stuff, let's start with something you definitely know: a burger and fries. I mean, it's a super simple meal, right? Maybe even junk food. But think about it. You can find it, or something really close to it, almost anywhere on the planet. How did that happen? How did this one meal become a global icon? The answer, and this might surprise you, isn't just about food. It's totally connected to our main story. See, the answer isn't really about taste at all. It's locked inside the story of one specific language, a language that carried ideas, culture, and business across every single ocean and continent. And it all started with a massive wave of conquest and trade. Okay, so our story kicks off centuries ago. For English to take over the world, it first had to leave its home, and the vehicle for that incredible journey, the British Empire. This was the first great wave. It really all began with a secret weapon: England's navy. Starting way back in the 1600s, British ships were just everywhere. They were circling the globe, and of course, wherever the ships went, the English language followed. By the 1800s, the British Empire was so huge, they had that famous saying, "The sun never sets on it." But here's the really crucial part. Even after all these countries fought for and won their independence, English didn't just pack up and leave. Nope, it stuck around. It often stayed as the language of the government, of business, of the schools. It became a permanent part of the landscape. But here's the thing, the British Empire was really just chapter one. To truly get why English is so dominant today, we have to fast forward to the 20th century. We've got to talk about the rise of a new global superpower, an event that would launch an even bigger wave of English across the entire world. Okay, picture this. It's 1945. World War II has just ended, and the entire map of global power is being redrawn. On one side, you've got Europe and Britain. Their cities are just rubble. Their economies are in ruins. But on the other side, the United States. America came out of the war stronger than ever before. Its industries were booming, and its land was completely untouched by the fighting. This right here, set the stage for a massive shift in global power. So how exactly did America's new power cement English's place in the world? Well, it started with money. Makes sense, right? After the war, the US dollar basically became the world's currency. So when countries trade for oil or when big companies make international deals, it's almost always done in dollars. And hey, when the language of money is English, what do you think the language of global business becomes? Yep, English. But America's influence wasn't just about cash. The second pillar was culture. Just think about the biggest movies you've ever seen, or the most famous musicians from the last, say, 70 years. Chances are, a lot of them are American. Hollywood and the American music industry became these unstoppable forces of global entertainment. And suddenly, people all over the world were watching American movies and listening to English songs, soaking up the language without even realizing they were doing it. And right on the heels of that cultural wave came a technological one: the digital revolution. The internet, you guys. It was basically built in America by American companies. The very first websites, the code that makes it all run, the biggest tech giants we use every day, Google, Microsoft, Apple, they were all born in English. If you wanted to be part of this new digital world, you pretty much had to speak English. And that brings us to the final pillar: knowledge. The world's most important scientific research, the top universities, the biggest breakthroughs in medicine and technology, they're all published and shared in, you guessed it, English. So if you're a scientist, a doctor, or an engineer and you want to be part of that global conversation, well, you've got to speak the language. So we've gone through the history, the empires, the economics. But this isn't just a history lesson, right? What does all of this mean for you, right here, right now? How does this long story actually affect your life and your opportunities today? Honestly, knowing English today is like having a passport to the whole world. It opens up doors to way better jobs, often with better pay, because you can work for international companies. It means you can travel almost anywhere and not be afraid, because you know you can communicate. And maybe most importantly, it unlocks something like 90% of the world's knowledge. From top university courses to simple online tutorials, most of it is in English. And that's the crucial point here. It's what this quote is getting at. English has really transformed from being just another language into a global skill.
It's a tool that can literally change your career, your access to information, and your ability to connect with the rest of the world. It's all about freedom and opportunity.
Okay, so we've seen how English got to the top of the mountain. But, history never stands still. It's always moving forward. So, what does the future hold? Is English's reign going to last forever? Or are we about to see a whole new chapter get written? And that, right there, is the big question on everyone's mind. With new economic powers rising up and technology advancing at an insane pace, you have to wonder, is the era of English as the undisputed king of languages coming to an end? Let's take a look at the main challenger people always talk about, Mandarin Chinese. Now, on paper, it's got a huge advantage with way more native speakers. We're talking over 1 billion. But look closer at the other factors. English has more than 1.5 billion people learning it. It's got a much simpler alphabet-based system compared to thousands of characters, and it still completely dominates the internet. So, while Mandarin is obviously incredibly important, these things make it really, really hard to imagine it replacing English on a global scale. Then, of course, there's the tech argument. You hear it all the time. Won't AI translation just make every language equal? And that's a great thought. Tools like real-time translators are going to be amazing, for sure, but they don't really get rid of the need for a common ground. I mean, for high-stakes business deals, or for scientists collaborating on a cure for a disease, people are still going to want to communicate directly in one shared language to avoid any miscommunication. So this leaves us with one last, really fascinating question to think about. In a future where technology can translate anything in an instant, what's going to make a language powerful? Is it still going to be about money and history, or will it be about something else, like culture or creativity, or maybe just that basic human need for a real, genuine connection? Now that is something to chew on.